welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living right here in beautiful Fullerton, California. My name is Tomoko Rosas and I'm a practitioner at this beautiful spiritual center. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. Thank you all for being here in person and also online. So today, before we get started, I have a few announcements. We do have a busy day. We are celebrating Reverend Bill's birthday. The Essential Ernest Holmes class is still open for new students. It opened last Thursday and I'm sure it went beautifully. And we'll keep it open for a couple more weeks for new students to join us. And let's see, and we are gathering students for the fall class of Foundation of Science of Mind. That'll be on Wednesday evenings, and the time is actually negotiable with the group. As soon as I have a nice little group of at least 4 students, we'll talk about when it will be the best time to meet. So the information is also in the program. On Wednesday, Spiritual Growth Support Group is ongoing at 1 p.m. to 2:30, and that is open to everyone. Please join us if you can. And our very last Spiritual Economics class will be on Sunday, August 20th, and this is a celebration class for presenting our projects, if you are doing projects, and all is welcome, so come join us to cheer all the students on. Unexpected Income Club is chugging along. Thank you everyone for your continued support and keep looking for that unexpected income. And if you'd like more information on that, please see me after service.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Good morning. Good morning. Please join me in our invocation of the living Spirit God right here in our midst, right here, and right now. We celebrate together the creative energy and everlasting love of the universe that we know as the living Spirit God. In gratitude for all the blessings we share today, I'm thankful for each one here and for those who are sharing with us online. We appreciate the beautiful music from Tommy and thankful for our faithful ushers. We're thankful for the members of our wise board of trustees and our dedicated, prayerful practitioners. We're grateful for our children and the teachers, and for all those who have planned and worked to make this special day a success. We're so grateful for our pastor, Reverend Bill Salisbury, whose message today touches our hearts and minds. In gratitude for being here and sharing this gathering with each one of you, I know this service is perfect, just as it must be. And so it is. Amen. My reading today was written by a fellow student of mine in Foundations class. His name is Roland. And he wrote, Science of Mind According to a Dog. He said, "I'm just a goofy dog, kind of yappy and flappy. I'm not golden like a retriever, nor am I regal like a Queen Elizabeth corgi. I'm not even cuddly like a toy poodle. I may be scrappy, but nonetheless so happy. For my spirit is whole and complete. I just happen to be in the form of a dog. Why toil and spin? Yes, sometimes I have to work, like when I'm told to put away my toys, but for the most part, I just eat, walk, play, and sleep. I just am. I simply be. Be a dog, for that is my essence. So remember that when you're in my presence. I love to walk. On my walks, I encounter cars and humans and grass and other dogs. Sometimes it's sunny. Sometimes it's cloudy. Sometimes it's hot. Sometimes I encounter cold or wind or rain. But there's no mental pain, it's all God. And God is in all, especially when I pounce through leaves in the fall. I don't worry for my next bowl of dog food or for my next chew toy. I am one with the universe, and the universe is abundant. This my owner must know, for runneth over is my doggy bowl, and never am I without a new toy. Indeed, I must be a lucky boy. When my owner is not home, I get a little nervous and scared. But then I realize, why must I fear? For God is always near. He is in and through and around all things. He is ever present. So there's no need to fret and not be pleasant. When I want a new toy, I just envision it. And before long, the universe makes it manifest. My owner must really love buying me new toys. Wow, who could think a silly dog could have such an effect on the universal ether? Simply submit your thought without a doubt, and the law will bring it about. Lots of times I try to talk to my human, but she only hears me bark. When her mood is dark, I treat her mind spiritually. I let her know her spirit is a slice of the great essence, so full, so abundant, so wise, so complete and free. So I say, be your essence. Be still and bask in the universe's presence. Wow, a dog's life is pretty great. I spend my days playing, eating, sleeping, walking, and keeping my human company. But most of all, I bask in the wonder of the universe. This is the way I like to live, for it keeps me thankful and ready to give. And so it is. So now just join me in prayer. We know that God is everything we see, this beautiful world. We human beings in all our varieties and all of our little animal friends, all is God expressing life and love. Right now I speak my word for each of us here, knowing that the divine energy of love animates us, fills us up with love and joy and peace. So in gratitude for this enlightened teaching and for our teachers of this beautiful philosophy, even our little scrappy happy doggies, I release my word into the perfect functioning of the law and know it is done perfectly right here and right now.
Good morning.
Everybody get an affirmation on the way in?
Yes.
Today I open new doors to life. I have everything within me to take this new step. I do. Thank you. So, continuing our talk of overarching theme being freedom, this being July and all, the title of today's talk is The Divine Plan. I wonder, is there such a thing? Is there such a thing as a divine plan? I think so. And I'm pretty sure all of us think so. The question, though, that comes to mind is going to be, well, what about it? I mean, who hasn't made a plan? And who hasn't, found all kinds of things to stick in that plan, and maybe later to take out of that plan, maybe discover didn't work in that plan. So we need to kind of analyze the divine plan and, I don't know, see if it's working. Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, said, "The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul." And he also said, because, sometimes we wonder, well, all right, I get that. I just don't know if it works for me. I don't know if I'm included in that. I don't know if I got that memo. But he says, whatever the nature of any principle may be, any principle, this life principle, what we're going to be talking about, insofar as it is understood by anyone, it may be understood by all who take the time to investigate it. So, I wonder, I don't want to get into this long drawn-out argument that's been floating along in philosophical circles since like forever, about the determinism versus free will thing. But I would just like to mention that there are those in the determinism camp that would have us think that everything we ever do, every choice we ever make, every thought we ever have, every action has been predetermined since, I guess you could say, since the time of our birth. But I would hold that if that's the case, it has to go back, way back before our birth. If everything's predetermined, nothing is chance, nothing is choice. So although it's been argued by some of the greatest minds in history, one of which I'm not, and they've just tried to exhaust this from every possible angle, I have to say, you'd have trouble selling this to a 5-year-old. I mean, we make up volumes of arguments and fancy philosophical theories and systems and stuff, but the fact is, some things, when it comes right down to it, you just know can't be so. Because according to this camp, if I was out in the dark, walking around for whatever reason, and I stubbed my toe on a log or a brick or a stone or rear tire of a car or something, that would have to mean that every thought I've ever had, every choice I've ever made, every action I've ever taken, every breath I've ever drawn was designed for that to happen at that moment. And I'm sorry, I just can't buy into that. But I do kind of like the idea of free will. And I kind of think to myself once in a while, if free will isn't the dominant thing, why do we have it? I mean, imagine, if you will, a divine creator, a consciousness that's so powerful it creates this universe, and we don't even know what this universe is. We can only see so many gazillion, trillion light years away, and we can't see that very clearly. Come to think of it, there's lots of things right here we don't see very clearly. But if we didn't have free will, we would be like, you know, insects, animals, plants that have maybe instinct, and they have that life principle within them, because everything does. But in addition to that life principle, the reason that we have free will is so that we can choose, right? So that we can grow and expand our awareness. That's not to say we have to always use it for growth and expansion. Because we have volition, we can choose it for whatever we want. But imagine, well, imagine if it was just automated, everything already predetermined for us. What would be the point? We have to have that volition, we have to have that free will, we have to exercise it, because that's the only thing that has caused this thing called humanity to grow even to where it is today. And I don't think it takes the sharpest mind in creation to determine that we still got a long way to go. Science of Mind, Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, had something else to say about this. He said, spirituality, and that's our choice, remember, whether we exercise that, whether we're aware of that, and whether we further that, but at any rate, came with us. It's a constant, consistent attempt to feel the presence of God in everything and in everyone. That's if we're exercising that choice. Such an attitude need not be put into words, because words cannot express such a feeling, but out of the feeling words will flow, and when they do, they will always be correct. And he goes on to say in here that it's something that cannot be taught, and that it's something that everybody has. It's like every other power. We have access to it. Whether we choose to use it or not is simply up to us. But look back on times when we didn't use it. Look back on times in your own life when you didn't use this power to redefine your world from where it was after the conditioning of our culture, and it was something that we didn't particularly like. There was something about it maybe that wasn't quite right. But once we are aware that this power is available to us, there's no limit. There's no end to what we can do. And we toss around things like infinite and eternal, and all that's great and all that's true. But I wonder sometimes if we really understand it. Because the divine plan, to me, goes kind of like this. Well, before I do that, let me ask you. You just think about this for, like 0.05 seconds. Is God a micromanager? Because there are certain philosophies that tell us, yes, indeed, everything, God sees all, controls all, does all, provides all. And half of that's true. This life principle does provide everything we're going to ever need. In abundance. In abundance. But it's not being micromanaged. Micromanage kind of goes back to the determinism thing, right? That we don't have anything to say about it. We don't have any input here. Now, it's true that this universe is totally orchestrated. It's totally ordered. It's totally, everything has a place and everything didn't have a place. And you don't have to be very bright to see that either. Else how would migrations take place? How would rebirth take place? How would continued life take place? But it's not micromanaged. There's no such thing as a God that has its thumb in everything that we do. The God that we talk about is that life principle. The life principle. That principle that provides life, that gives life. And it's working all the time. It never stops working. It's not even the case that it's multitasking in that while it produces one thing and before it's even finished or immediately after, as soon as it goes on to produce something else. No, the life principle is just that. It's the principle that continually, constantly birthing and rebirthing and giving life to everything. But then after those without sentience get away from living according to instinct or by what has to be in order to keep that particular life form going, flowing, reproducing, we got a superpower. How do you like that? Come on, Marvel, make a comic book about this. We got a superpower. We have the ability not just to comprehend things, but we have this ability to contemplate, which makes us different than every other life form on earth. We have the power of contemplation. And it's with this contemplation that we're allowed to get into that space where we can be aware of the power and presence of that life principle, that divine consciousness, that thing we call God, that allows us to expand beyond limit if we so choose, and if we are aware of it in the first place. In his book, The Hidden Power, and other papers on mental science, it says, Thomas Troward, and I'm going to talk about a lot about Thomas Troward today, because Thomas Troward was one of the greatest thinkers of all time. He came up with this thing called mental science, or science of mind, all on his own. There was no thinking like this prior to this, unless you go back 2,000 years to the master teacher, Jesus. But nobody had formulated this in this delineated fashion that said, yes, you can turn your thoughts into things. As a matter of fact, you cannot stop your thoughts from becoming things and demonstrating in your world. But he said, the life which flows into us from the universal life principle is at every moment new life, entirely undifferentiated to any particular purpose besides that of supporting our own individuality, and that it is therefore ours to externalize in any form we will. We talk about undifferentiated substance all the time, right? We talk about undifferentiated substance. We can understand it when we get into that contemplative idea of, well, how do things come into being? How do we demonstrate what we want to see? How do we make our world look like we want it to look? And we know that we plant the seed internally. Our thought is the seed. We plant it into that indifferentiated spirit that everything is within, and it has to grow according to what we planted. It has to fill the mold of our thought with the thing that we desire. Or not desire. Because sometimes, don't we put the wrong thought out there? Well, I do. I don't know about you guys. That brings to mind, that the devil's beatitude, Blessed are they who ask for nothing, for they shall not be disappointed. Or, blessed are they who ask for the wrong thing. They're not going to be disappointed either. They're going to get it. That's why we have to be so careful, so cautious about our thoughts. It's undifferentiated experience, and with every breath we take, we're taking in more of that. We're taking in this God stuff that is not yet formed. We have formed. But every breath that we take in is coming in full of undifferentiated God stuff, substance, that is not yet formed. We are going to help form it. And we can form it in any fashion that we desire. So Troward also says, the error we have to avoid is that of supposing volition to take the same form in universal spirit as an individualized spirit. Remember, we have volition. If we have volition, it must be that which created us has volition. Everything about us is some part of universal truth, of absolute truth. So yes, we have volition, because volition is what brought the universe into being in the first place. In the Bible it talks about in the beginning. And it's the first thing we think of, in the beginning. That means from the beginning of time. Isn't that what we think of? And yet, when we think about it a little further, we do understand that time is a human construct. There's no time in the absolute. It just always has been, always will be. It just is. Thomas Troward tells us that probably when we say in the beginning, or when it was said in Scripture, it had nothing to do with time. It just meant in the beginning was the very first causative thought that was thought by the Absolute. So it's not about time, it's about causation. And that whole train of causation that has ended up with our world just as the way it is. So, we're talking about volition, right? We have volition because there is volition in the Absolute. The Absolute volition can produce anything it wants to. In our volition, we can produce anything we want to also. So, if it wasn't free will, if it wasn't choice, it wouldn't make anything for us. But it is. The very terms universal and individual forbid this to be the case, that we can have volition, or that which created us cannot, or vice versa, that which created us can have it, but we cannot. Just absolutely no question about it in my mind. So we do have free will, and we can use it to further ourselves, or we can use it for really no purpose. I mean, we talk about we can choose good or we can choose evil. There's an infinite number of things in between those two things we can choose. We can choose complacency, we can choose boredom, we can choose never bettering ourselves or never furthering the race. One of the things Troward said was this: the law of flotation was not discovered by contemplating the sinking of things, but by contemplating the floating of things, which floated naturally, and determining how that happened. So if we want to find out how some good came to be? Are we going to think about the ungood, the not good? Are we going to limit ourselves? Remember, we can limit our thinking to thinking only about those things in the negative, or we can expand our thinking to include every possibility. Think about an infinite field of potentiality that we get to choose from. And we can make anything we want from it. Anything. So why would we choose something that's not great? Okay, I know. Sounds great, Bill. But what about things like pain and suffering and disease and war? And I mean, we can go on and on and on and on, right? We have, anybody ever been in a crisis? Do we have crises? Yeah, if you're going to make a list, you're going to have a very large piece of paper. Yes, we do have lots of crises. Is that a life principle micromanaging us? Because what we say in Science of Mind is we have a crisis, that just happens. And it does. And that's not important. What's important is what? How we respond to it. And I think that that is true. That doesn't mean that a crisis is something evil that was instituted as against us as humans. You know, this planet was here billions of years before we got here, for humans, right? Do you think that a storm or a flood or a fire was a crisis back there before people were here? I don't think so. I don't know, I wasn't here. But the fact is, it's not something pushed off on us because for some reason or other we deserve it. No, it's just something that happens, and we're right here to get to be involved in it. And being involved in it is an example of how we get to use our free choice, because we can respond with, all right, this happened, onward and upward from here. Or we can say, oh my God, this happened, life will never be the same again. Well, maybe it won't. Maybe life will never be the same again. That doesn't mean that life is going to be negative or bad or full of other stuff that are untoward. It just means it's going to be different. And we get to change and help direct where that difference goes. Winston Churchill, I have something from him here, said at some point, oh yeah, never let a serious crisis go to waste. It's an opportunity to do things you thought you couldn't do before. Come on, every one of us knows that. Every one of us has experienced that. Every one of us has gone, oh, woe is me, and all at once looks back and said, you know what? That really did change my life. If it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have this, and the other good thing going on in my life. Evan Hodkins from the School of Alchemy said this: crisis is like a midwife bringing character to birth. Crisis is the process whereby your character is revealed. So, do we have some problems? Yeah. But is it because the universe is organized against us? No. The universe conspires for our good. One other thing, and this I love because this really substantiates in me my belief in free will. What he said was, talking about abundance, he said, God will provide the food. Isn't that the case? God, the life principle, provides the food. but God ain't going to cook it for us. It's all there. All we have to do is open our awareness, open our hearts, open our eyes, and see that it is, and see that the divine plan can be none other than life, new life, continuous life, life in every possible aspect, abundantly, prosperously. And it's all about, why do we call it a universe? Universe. One, right? Doesn't uni mean one? If one is a whole, and it must be, because otherwise it wouldn't be one, that has to include beauty, joy, harmony, love, community, all those God qualities that we talk about all the time. And how can we be in the center of all that? How can we have that surrounding us every waking moment and not be aware of it? And not have that contemplative power to say, wow, how do I make this work for me? And then go ahead and do that. We have illness, right? We got disease. We have fashioned means of curing many diseases. So to cure means that we just find a way to eradicate that disease. Problem with that is, does it always work? No. So the difference between curing and healing, which is what we're big on in Science of Mind, is that healing makes us whole, makes us one, whether or not the cure eradicated the issue. Do we get that? That's part of the divine plan. The divine plan is, yeah, things are going to happen, but back of everything, at bottom of everything, girding everything in the universe up, is this life principle that's never going to end, that's never going to let us down. All we have to do is recognize it and learn to live within it and work within it and not be worried about all the little stuff. Well, what was that book that guy wrote? Don't sweat the small stuff. P.S. It's all small stuff. The life principle is not small stuff. The life principle is that divine plan, that consciousness, that creative intelligence from which everything comes. And it says more and more and more and more, and we're never going to run out of this stuff. This world, as the master teacher Jesus said, this world is going to go away someday. But we're going to live on. That eternal I am, that is us, is going to live on. It can be no other way. That's the divine plan. So let's just know, in our hearts and in our souls, there is life, and there is life abundantly. And there's this life principle that has created me and sustains me and will sustain me eternally and infinitely. That the divine essence of me is one with the divine essence of that creative intelligence. And as such, it is inviolate. Things may come and go, things may happen, things may not happen, but through it all, my oneness with that creator of all things, my oneness with that life principle, that thing we call God, my oneness is indisputable. And because it is, wherever that power goes, I go with it because I'm part of that power. And it's so nice to know this. It's so nice to know that there is nothing that can interrupt my being, my growth, my spiritual awareness, because I am part and parcel of that life principle, and I am an intricate member of that divine plan. So with a grateful heart, I just say thank you, God, for this. Thank you, thank you. And I just let this word go, knowing it is the truth. And together we say, and so it is. This is our time to shine our light, to share our abundance. We know that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are grateful. Thank you for your continued financial support as well as emotional and loving, heartfelt support, because it's that financial support that keeps us going. And for those who are not in attendance but watch this on video and continue to hit that donate button on the website and send in their tithes, thank you. So let's just know that we bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing they are given from the central core of who we are, which is God made manifest on this plane. We send them forth to do their good work in this community and in the world at large, with no strings and no conditions, and so it is.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breezes drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on a tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly in the sun, you know what I mean. Don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that is what I mean. This whole world is a new world and a bold world for me. Stars when you shine, you know what I feel. Spirit in the blind, you know how I feel. Freedom, freedom, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life. Well, it's a new dawn, a new day, a new life. It's a new life for me.
Debbie Ebert, come on, and Tommy Cosentino. Come on, boy. Feeling good now, too.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Reverend Bill. Happy birthday to you.
So, let's just know something together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called the divine plan.
It's this thing called the divine plan.
Because I'm part of it.
And I'm part of it.
An important part of it.
An important part of it.
I recognize this.
I recognize this.
I accept this.
I accept this.
I'm grateful for this.
I'm grateful for this.
Thank you, God, in me